What's going on, you guys? Jeremy here, back with another banger today. So I actually interviewed some of my clients, Stef and Andrea, and asked them questions about kind of like where they started, where they're at now, how they literally more than doubled their business in the first 30 days working together. They shared a lot of the lessons, beliefs they had to break as well, and some of the things that they've been doing that have been really critical to their success so far. We've only been working together for like a month and a half now. I think it's been like 5 to 6 weeks. Just plugged in a setter a few weeks ago for them, and then also a closer just literally this week right now. He hasn't even taken any calls yet, but slowly and surely we're removing them from the operations and the day-to-day and helping them transition from an operator into an actual business owner, which is how you scale. So essentially, like, they just went through the program, they followed it to a T and did everything. I coached them on, did everything in the program as well, and launched ads. So they just tapped into an insane untapped traffic source that pretty much turned their lead problem or their traffic problem into a fulfillment and conversion problem, where they have too many leads to follow up with and to touch base with and to try and convert into an appointment and then into a customer. So now we're kind of putting the fires out on the back end and making sure that we've got the right systems and the right people in place to be able to actually sustain this and scale even further from there. So they're on track to do about 50K this month, and they joined only doing around 5K about 5 to 6 weeks ago. So we'll see how that goal of 50K comes along this month. When we do, we'll get them back onto the channel for another interview. Nonetheless, we'll see how that goes. Taking on a new closer, could be some growing pains there. We'll find out soon enough. But either way, that's enough of me talking. Let's get straight into it. Strap in, grab your popcorn. This is an absolute banger. And let me know in the comments if you like it, if you learned something from it. Let me know your key takeaways as well. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right. Welcome to an interview with Stef and Andrea. They've been absolutely crushing it. We've been working together for about just around a month and a half now. And you guys have been doing extremely well, really just excelling. You've taken all the concepts of the program, the coaching and stuff like that, taken that and just ran with it and seeing some incredible results so far. So really just looking forward to kind of hearing very candidly from you guys how that's been, kind of like some of the lessons that you've learned and some of like the key factors to your success as well, so then others can kind of take that, apply it, and grow too. So why don't we kick things off? And if you guys could just introduce yourself, kind of just a bit of a rundown on kind of like what you do, what your offer is, niche, stuff like that. And then I've got some questions for you, and I'm looking forward to it.
For sure, yeah. So I'll start us up. So I've been doing this now for maybe like 5-ish years, and honestly wasn't really a business until maybe 2 years ago. So went through all of the different product changes, like going with the subscription model, going with like personalized coaching and all these different avenues, but finally landed on high ticket coaching, have the structure I'm in today. And honestly, just realized that I came to a point where, okay, yeah, I know all the strategies, I know all the tactics. I would love to just have a mentor to really guide me along the way. And that's why I went ahead and worked with you. And obviously, Andy, you could tell your part here, but she came in like around that 2-year period, like 2 years ago. And I think the biggest thing with her was just like trying to figure out how she fits in. And we spoke a little bit about that beforehand. And I think now we've really kind of like fit her in a nice little groove so that she can grow and we can also get like that contribution and that value that I think is really good for what we're building together.
Yeah. So like you said, I came in like, for those of you who don't know, we do fitness coaching. So high ticket fitness coaching, working with mostly ex athletes who are dealing with some kind of pain, chronic injury, or just want to get into a better shape but don't really know how to like get back to their previous peak, athletic peak. And yeah, like you said, stuff like I came on 2 years ago and I was kind of like there to witness and also like catalyze a lot of these like experiments that we have done. So like, yeah, we built a lower ticket program together. We have built an even lower ticket program together. We have launched like 16 different marketing campaigns and stuff like that. So yeah, just a lot of experimenting in the last 2 years for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, that's really cool. So you've been at it for a while now. Let's just kind of like backtrack to kind of like when we first started working together, let's say, I don't know, 6 weeks ago. Where were you guys at then? Like, what was the business looking like? How many clients were you getting? And kind of like, what was the price point of the offer, stuff like that? Just kind of paint a bit of a before picture, and then kind of like where you're at now and kind of how things are coming along.
Yeah, good question. So when we first came on the program, we were at like that 5K a month mark, and I had done a little bit higher than that before. Like my highest before that was 12K in a month cash collected, and we just had an inconsistency in terms of like being able to deliver, being able to do the DM outreach, being able to do the sales calls. Like we just really had so much going on that we weren't able to handle on our own. So I think one of the key things that you helped us with, and really mostly in terms of like the mindset and the framework for it, was just being able to delegate and being able to say like, hey, it's okay to, yeah, sure, you're going to lose some money in the short term. Like this is one of the biggest beliefs that I had to break. I'm going to take in a little bit of like a sacrifice in terms of the proportion of money that I'm getting in, like the profit, but ultimately it's going to allow me to scale way further than I would have. And it's going to allow me to have peace of mind so that I can do the things that I actually love to do. So we came in, and literally the month after that, like 4 or 5K mark, we doubled that to 9K cash collected. And honestly, like there's so many other, I mean, obviously like we're talking about profit here, but in terms of our following growth, we went from about like 3K to 16K today. And that was literally in a month. And the amount of leads pouring in is just absolutely ridiculous. So right now the bottleneck is kind of like having our setter who we put in place, converting all of those people into calls. And then also we just hired a new sales rep to take the brunt of the calls from me so that I'm able to kind of divert my time in different places. So Andy, you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's pretty accurate. Like, and another thing with the leads pouring in, like we before we started working with you, Jeremy, like I was the one doing all the setting, and I was like literally like scraping through people who have liked our post 2 weeks ago to like start new conversations. Like I know there's people out there who can relate to this. Like it was a grind. And now we can't even like get to respond to everybody in our request inbox because there's just so much. And we have a full-time setter, like somebody in there for 8 hours a day. So yeah.
Yeah, so I guess like to sum that up, we came in with a leads problem, and now we have converting those leads into clients problem. That's honestly like in the works of being solved as we speak.
No
Yeah.
doubt. Well, I will say that that's a really, really good problem to have. And that's a problem that a lot of people in this space have, because like from my perspective and just kind of working with literally hundreds of coaches at this point, like most people's problem is like that lead problem, the traffic problem. They just don't have enough new attention seeing their stuff. Like a lot of people are really good at what you do, like you guys make extremely good content and know how to sell, but like just there's just not enough people to sell to. So it's really cool to kind of like run you guys through the program and the process, see you apply and actually execute it. Like literally, like whenever you come to me or whenever we talk or whatever, it's like I kind of like tell you, okay, do this, and then like it's just done. Like you just do it. You don't hesitate. You just take action, and I really appreciate that, like from you. And obviously, the results are reflecting that. What and maybe you've already kind of touched on this, but what kind of beliefs did you have before that have kind of been like broken or completely flipped on its head after kind of like seeing the process kind of like actually being rolled out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? Something that just like came to my mind as you were saying what you were just saying is like we actually didn't used to think that we have a lead problem like that bad, because we used to look at our following, be like, there's more than 3,000 people in here. Like, and of course, most of that was like Stef's friends from school. So like at least 1,000 of those people were like, you know, friends, acquaintances, whatever. And we used to think like there's no way that like there's not enough people to sell to in this pool. But then as we started to get more of the kind of people that we want through the ads that were like targeted, then we started to realize like, okay, this shit is like, it's the pond was drier than we thought in a way, I think. Would you agree,
Yeah.
Steph?
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a really good point, because I always remember saying like, yeah, let's just squeeze as much juice as we can out of this following that we got right here. But honestly, like, I guess to more specifically answer your question, Jeremy, one of the biggest beliefs that I had to break was that, again, like just hoarding money and just like saving money. It's like, for what reason? Um, Even just the $10 a day that we're currently spending on ads has taken us way past what I ever believed. And this is something that you talk about in your content. It's like, okay, you don't need to spend so much on ads, especially if, like us, like we already had good content. And I was almost relying on like the virality of our content to get us new leads. And it was working to a certain extent. Like we were growing, like we got like sometimes like 5x or 10x the amount of followers that we had like on our view in terms of views and engagement, but we just weren't getting followers and engagement that fast. So just pouring like a little bit of gas on the fire, $10 a day has, like I said, allowed us to go from like 3-ish K to 16K today. And obviously the followers aren't the most important thing. It's like, all right, are these people qualified leads? And they totally are. It's people who come into these calls with us and they're pretty much piping hot, like ready to go, just trying to like figure out, okay, what exactly is it the offer that you have? Because I'm really interested in the content that you have to put out.
That's a really great point. And that leads kind of to another question that just came up too. Like, I know we kind of touched a little bit on like the positioning as well, and kind of like what to say in the content, especially like on your stories and stuff like that too. Because like you were already really good at making content before you came in, right? So like actually making good content, that wasn't a problem. But then just kind of like the marketing message and like the positioning in that, how big an effect do you think that that has kind of on like the lead quality, or at least like the quality of the people that actually get onto a call with you?
Yeah, good question. I think that honestly, we were not promoting what we had. We were not promoting the program too much. And I think that was another big mindset shift, was seeing that like, yeah, we can put out all the content in the world, but unless we're actually putting out a specific message and leading or at least positioning our product as the solution to these problems that we're talking about, like we're not going to get in the traffic that we want. And even if we do get the traffic, we're not going to be able to convert them. So I think it's been really as simple as just like keying in on a couple main things that we help our clients do, and then really just like hammering that in our marketing message, combining that with also promoting our program. So something really simple was just like every Wednesday and Sunday, we're going to make a direct call to action to work with us. And on one of our story posts recently, like I think last week, maybe, we got 6 inbound calls from just one story post. So I think continuing to do that and continuing to like just refine the message, tweak it, is going to go a long way in terms of getting that lead quality up higher and higher.
That's really good. And another question came up a little bit earlier as well, when you kind of mentioned like you've been at it for a long time, you've been in the game for a while, you've learned a lot of the tactics, the strategies, the techniques and stuff like that. But then you kind of mentioned like there was kind of like a tipping point on like when you decided to just like kind of go all in and get a mentor. Like what kind of led to that decision? What kind of factors were in play there? And what would you say to somebody else maybe who was like, who might be in a similar position, kind of just like doing the organic grind and like, I don't know if I don't want to say like they're like stubborn and like stuck in their ways. Just like, oh, if I just work harder and harder, I'm going to figure this out and actually scale. Like, what would you say to either old Stef and Andrea or somebody else kind of in a similar spot, and what kind of variables and factors went into that decision?
Yeah, I think for me, it was like, I had this idea in my head that I had to do it alone. Like, and whether that came from my parents or from other business coaches, like I just had this voice in my head that was telling me like, do it on your own, Stef, and then you'll be able to scale, and then you'll be able to grow once you get enough capital. But it made no sense, because the 2 hires that I just made that are already taking my business to another level are commission only. So like that being said, there's literally zero risk with it. They don't get paid unless we make more money. And the people that they bring in, the people that they close are bringing me money that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and business that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So I think the main thing that I would tell younger Stef was like, bro, like you're ready right now to scale and you're ready right now to grow, make those moves, and everything will kind of just happen and fall into place.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I remember the exact like tipping point for us was ads. Like me and Steph were talking back and forth about like potentially launching an ad for like month. And then I think I found your Instagram. Steph knew you from before, but I actually saw an ad of yours and I started to like look at your content and I didn't know it was you. Like I didn't remember your name. Um so I just like I remember showing him like, look, this guy does cool content, like he's saying something. And one day staff just like came to me and he was like, I think I'm going to pay for Jeremy to teach us how to run ads. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
That's too funny. That just goes
Yeah.
to show right there that like ads clearly work. That's hilarious. Okay. Kind of taking a bit of a different direction here as well. Actually, let's stay on the same topic of ads. So what beliefs did you have about ads before that you now have towards them? I know early, like you kind of touched on a little bit, like you don't need to spend a huge budget to start seeing results. That's one that I hear a lot. And I know a lot of people have, they think like, oh, I had to have like 10 grand liquid and spend like $500 a day or whatever it might be to start seeing results. And of course, like everybody's offer is a little bit different based on kind of who you're going after. So like costs and results are going to change a little bit. But are there any other kind of beliefs that you had before kind of regarding ads? Maybe what prevented you from starting them sooner?
Yeah, I think for me, it was like limiting beliefs that we didn't have our market message on point, or that, okay, we can get all this traffic, but are we really going to be able to convert them? So honestly, I just didn't really have confidence in our funnel, basically. And I think some of the work that we did with you to just get a little bit more solid on our trust in our ability to funnel people down the line and become clients was ultimately the main factor, because we knew that, again, we had good content. We just weren't sure that we would be able to bring those people who watch our content to become clients. And I think we were just overcomplicating it. Like we had multiple freebies. We even, right before we worked with you, we did this like 5-day challenge that was like $97. And it was just, we were just doing too much. We were just overcomplicating the funnel, you know? So once we just really simplified it, did the bare minimum, like all the basics, and got that down right, then we realized, oh, wow, well, it's easy. Like we just have to get enough volume in here and we'll be able to convert some of that into clients. And I guess like one more thing, like to conceptualize this. So we're paying $10 a day for ads right now. That's about $300 a month. And I had to think to myself, can I really not get one client in this month from these ads to make this worthwhile? Because just one client, like our program is $2,400. So even just like 1 month of their program would make it worthwhile. So once I put it into those terms, it was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Let me just do it.
That's a really good way to look at it. 100%. Because like in the grand scheme of things too, it's like from my perspective, even still, I catch that limiting belief of like kind of just being like scared to spend money. But I'm like, man, even if I spend 10 grand this month, all I got to do is make like 1 or 2 sales. And then think about all of the other people in your audience that now know about you. Maybe they don't convert this month, but there's a good chance a lot of them will over the next 6, right? Because like a lot of people that you're getting today, somebody that follow you today probably isn't going to buy from you tomorrow, right? But like one of the reasons why we focus so heavy on like building the foundation and making sure like the content and the organic side is really dialed in first is because that's how you nurture people, right? So the people that follow you right now, it's like chances are someone that follow you today probably will buy from you within the next 3 to 6 months as well. So it's gonna be really cool to kind of see the compound effect really start to kick in from here too. And like, even if you just maintain the same ad spend for the next 6 months, your income, your revenue will most likely still start to scale. And like, even just spending $300 a month, like that is kind of crazy. But we've talked about it before too. It's like, you're in the stage right now, which is awesome, where you don't need to increase ad spend because you don't have a lead problem. You can stay spending $300 a month and you'll still won't be able to follow up with and like convert the amount of leads that you have right now. So like, just, I'd say like maintain that, and then we'll really dial in the back end. Cause like, you just brought on the setter, what, 3 weeks ago? And then just the sales rep this week. So yeah, there might be a little bit of growing pains there, but nonetheless, like, keep that flow steady. And then from here, like, things are really, really going to get cranking. But yeah, Andrea, did you have something to say about that?
Yeah, because I think there's another layer to the whole like ads thing, and specifically like with what happened to us, that even if you don't sign somebody on as a client, it's enough if they become a fan. It's enough if they start liking everything you post. It's enough if they start commenting, because what that is going to do is going to push the algorithm to show your content organically to more people. So like, I've been looking at like the link clicks through our ad and the actual amount of following that we're getting. Like, most of the following that we're getting is through our organic content these last couple of days. But that is because we have gotten enough traffic, like it started flowing to us, and everybody who went through our ad followed us. We messaged them, they messaged us back, then they engaged with our content because they were like, oh, this is cool people. And now Instagram is like, oh, this page is consistently getting followers who are engaging, so this might be a good person, and it's like pushing our content left and right. Like, how much engagement did we get on the core post stuff? Like 400,000, something
it's
like
almost
that.
500,000 now.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. And I know, like, on the front end on my marketing, I really push like ads, but I'd like to kind of hear it from you guys going through the program. Like, how much of, I mean, ads is just kind of like the cherry on top, right? Like, how important would you say like the foundations are? And then kind of like, once those are set, then kind of turn on the tap with ads. Like, what, I guess kind of have like a bit more of a clearer question. What lessons have you learned regarding like the balance between organic and ads, and how has that kind of like led to the success that you've seen so far?
Honestly, Steph, do you want to go ahead? Sorry.
You can go ahead.
I was going to say that honestly, like, I'm not sure, and I have my background in corporate marketing, so I understand that you can't like surgically separate parts of marketing and say that like this exact thing got us this much of results. Like, sometimes that just doesn't work. Also, because of the same rule that you say, Jeremy, like somebody has to watch 7 hours of your content. There's another like rule of marketing that's like they need to have 7 touch points with you before they buy, or like that's the average. So I'm not sure if we can separate like, oh, this much of our traffic or this much of our success can be because of ads and this much because of the organic content, because we went viral before multiple times and it never stuck. Like, we got a super viral post, maybe the next like couple posts also like got like decently high engagement, but this one sticks. And the only thing that's like, our content has been improving, but the major like change that was like light switch change was that we started running ads. So like, I don't want to try what happens if we turn off the ads and like test whether that was a factor or not, because it's working. And if it's working, I don't want to mess with it. But I'm not sure whether you can actually like separate it and say that like, okay, this person is only here because of the ad and this person is only here because of the organic content, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a flywheel for sure. Like everything kind of contributes to it and just makes it go more. So for us, what I think I've seen with like just looking into some of the DM conversations that our appointment setter is having is that people are really, really loving the content. So even on Instagram, like obviously we talk about YouTube being a really good platform for deep diving into stuff and getting more hours watched from prospects. But even on our Instagram, people will tell us like, hey, I just spent like the last hour watching all of your content. This is really good. I want to book a call or I want to do this or I have a question or whatever it may be. So I think, yeah, like the two really work together well. And that's something that you were saying too. If you already have good content, it's a no-brainer to just pour more gas on there to get more people to watch it, more people who will potentially resonate with it, you know?
No doubt. Yeah. I think that's where a lot of people like go wrong too. And I see a lot of other like business coaches like teaching like one or the other. But I think that like when you do separate it, you're leaving so much on the table. Or like maybe in like their lower ticket, like I don't know, 5K program, they teach organic. And then you have to like pay another like 20K or whatever to learn the like ads and how to actually scale and stuff like that too. But yeah, just from my experience and like kind of working with you guys, my own company, and like a lot of other clients too, it's like you have to take a holistic approach to the business. Cause like just like you were saying there, Andrea, about like they complement each other so well. And as you were just saying there, Steph, too, it's like if you have a really good organic foundation, you have that base built, then like pouring ads is literally just like, yeah, you've already got the spark, you've already got a little bit of flame. Now you're just pouring gas right on top and just like blows up. And then of course, like with that and just a huge inflow of new traffic and new leads, then of course there's fires that come up in the back end, and your lead problem turns into a team problem or like a conversion problem, meaning you just literally don't have enough hours in the day to do everything yourself. What's been the process like so far building a team, and how has that kind of been going so far? Just to kind of, because I know there's a lot of people out there that have never hired anybody, or maybe they've had some hires join the company and then it didn't really work too well, stuff like that. What are some of the takeaways so far over the last few weeks of kind of working with your setter and then just onboarding the closer kind of as we speak right now?
Yeah, I think an underrated part of joining your program was the network that we were exposed to, because the two hires that again are really making the most difference for me right now are people who came from you. So just having the access to those people made it so much easier. And I think that's really like one of the most invaluable pieces to me, is like literally giving us the tools to be able to build and scale on our own. So I think that goes without saying for sure. And in terms of like training them up and getting them up to speed, I think it's really just been a matter of communicating. And we were talking about it in our team meeting right before this call, like just over communicating, especially when things are remote as they are now, just that makes things so much easier. And ultimately it allows things to just kind of work out how they should. Even if you don't have the most perfect systems, you don't have like the best organization, if you just communicate, everything will kind of fall into place. And before I believed like, oh, well, I don't know how to manage people, I don't know even what to make them do. And it's really just as simple as, well, make them do the things that you don't necessarily need to be doing, or the things that aren't your highest return on investment, you know, and just going from there and pulling yourself out more and more from there.
It's kind of a scary process too, isn't it? Like it's uncomfortable, especially when you haven't done it before. Just like totally just kind of like letting go, getting somebody in there, and obviously like training them up and doing what you can to like help them excel and succeed. But like it can be uncomfortable. And I think that's why a lot of people stay stuck too, is because what got them to where they're at now, like that's not going to get them to where they want to be if they try to do it alone. So that's definitely like a limiting belief, or at least like a mindset shift that has to be made to kind of accept that and let go, right? And obviously, like with the
Yeah.
right process for finding, hiring, and actually training up people and leading a team. I mean, maybe that's a conversation for another time, because there's a lot that goes into that, no doubt. But yeah, that's one of the like the biggest limiting beliefs that I had as well when I first started too. Like honestly, both around ads and around building a team. Ads is like, oh, it's scary, it can be complicated, and I'm gonna have to spend a lot of money, and it's really risky. But once I actually started running them, all of those were shattered. And now like they're just insanely profitable. And I was like, okay, there we go. And then with the team as well, hiring somebody in there, like that was another belief that I had to break, which was like, nobody else can do it better than I can or as good as me. But if I only have 2 hours a day to do something and I can get somebody in there working 8 to 10, they're going to be better. They're going to produce some more output at the end of the day, right?
And to piggyback off that too,
Yeah.
what we're finding is that, for instance, our appointment setter is better than me or Andy combined at appointment setting. So I think if you find the right people, then you can actually see this, like what we've seen is how if somebody is focusing on one thing, they're naturally going to get better at it at a faster rate than you as the business owner who's wearing all these different hats. So before I was doing the marketing, I was doing the delivery, I was doing the DMing, I was doing the sales calls, I was doing everything. And like, obviously I was decently proficient at it, but now that we're getting somebody in there, even if they start a little bit behind you on the learning curve, eventually, because they're only doing that, they're only focused on that, they're going to excel at a faster rate than you would and eventually become better than you.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. Andrea, do you have anything to kind of chime in on that, on this topic?
Yeah, I would just say that the quality of people makes it easier to trust, at least for me. Like, because I've tried to work with people before where I try to outsource what I'm doing, and it was like I'd rather just do it myself kind of situation, even after like multiple like trainings and us like trying to work together, trying to systemize everything. But when Eduardo came on board, like it was like the first week, I think Steph, you and I were both like looking like above his shoulders, like looking into his conversations. Now it's like, no, like I don't, I haven't opened the DMs in 2 weeks because I know he's got it, you know, because he just like showed up with the energy. He proved himself, and it was like way easier to let go because it was just like, okay, I guess it's working.
That's definitely something to speak on too. Kind of like there's two sides to like finding the right talent. It's like, are they really like on the one hand, it's like, are they good at what they do? Do they have the skills, the hard technical skills? So is he a good appointment setter? Can he actually book meetings? But I think honestly, like probably the most important thing is like their character, just who they are as a person. And I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of like the most important thing that I've found as well in finding somebody to kind of help you build the business. And like you can always train the hard skills, but just before we started recording here, we were kind of talking about that too. It's just like somebody's character is going to be the reason they over deliver and do the extra things and really just like give it their all, because you can't really train that, but you can train the technicals on appointment setting. And like honestly, over time, like with enough reps, you're going to get good at it, setting sales,
Yeah.
anything like that, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Awesome. Why don't we do this? Maybe if each of you could kind of just say like, just kind of give advice to somebody who was in your shoes before, what would you recommend them doing to kind of like grow their business, start scaling and stuff like that? Like what are some of the like the main takeaways so far that you learned from this? And what would you advise somebody else to do who was in a similar position before?
I'll go first. So I think the biggest thing that's a non-negotiable is to get a mentor. And I can say this because I've been an athlete for my whole life. And I've been in periods where, like after college, graduating, where I haven't had a coach, and I've kind of done my own programming and kind of coached myself. And I've also been in periods where I've had a coach, and it's night and day the difference between having that guidance, having somebody outside of you to really observe you from the outside looking in. It's just, it's night and day. Like, I don't even know how else to explain it. So we can talk about tactics and strategy and all this all we want, but at the end of the day, having somebody to really guide you and having somebody to just have that back and forth with, like, maybe you're questioning yourself or maybe you're doubting something that you're doing, just having that person to just be like, oh no, that's good, like, keep going. Even as simple as that, I think it goes a really long way. And I'm so grateful that I decided to kind of like jump into it, because again, I invest in coaching in other areas of my life, but in business, it was always like a little bit of a lag. And I think that just making the leap to do it and go ahead and get a coach was one of the best decisions I've made for my ability to scale overall.
Yeah, it really just simplified things for you. I could see that. Like we went through this process together. We were like in person together, and like I could see like the physical stress leaving your body as things got simplified. Yeah.
That's funny you say that. Like, and as you guys know, like one of the main things that I cover is just like simple scales, fancy fails, right? And I know you kind of touched
Yeah.
on that earlier, just like before you had so much on the go, doing like trying anything and everything. And then once we really just like kind of cut everything else out, focused it on one thing, one marketing channel, one offer, and kind of one way to actually convert leads, then like everything just really, like, yeah, when you simplify, everything just becomes a lot more easy to manage and measure and easier to scale. So that's really cool. But yeah, I totally agree with you as well. Like, I think naturally I'm fairly stubborn and just want to like figure things out on my own. But anytime I've hired a coach, had a mentor, anything like that, my results are just exponential. And it's incredible because I think like the external accountability too, and just like the reassurance that you're on the right path is invaluable as well. But yeah, just to kind of wrap things up here, we've got two last questions. First, where can people find you online? If they want to reach out, they want to follow, if you're an athlete looking to kind of bulletproof your body, stuff like that, where can they find you?
Best place, Instagram at air, like what we breathe, and Duvi, Duvi.
All right. Awesome. And last question to kind of wrap things up. Would you recommend an online coach kind of stuck around 5 to 10K a month to work with me and join the program?
Yep.
No brainer. Literal no brainer. Like I said, man, like if you're already a coach and you believe in what you do and you believe in the results you get for your clients, if you don't have a coach in a big area like business and finance that you want to excel in, it only makes sense to get a coach. It's just literally logical.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. This has been a ton of fun. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the next few months have in store for us, because especially as we ramp up this closer, that'll help you, Stef, get off the phones. That's going to save you 3, 4, 5 hours a day as well. So then you like, that's kind of one of the last steps from moving from like an operator into an owner. So then you can just focus on content, which is your strength, and just like actually kind of just growing the business, working on the business rather than in it. And I can't wait to see when that closer closes their first deal and you get that notification that the payment just went through. That's an entirely new feeling. It's incredible. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really excited. I just want to congratulate you guys on your success so far. It's been incredible to work with. It's been a ton of fun. And honestly, we're only getting warmed up.
Yup, let's get it,
Yeah.
man. More to come. So much more to do and scale. So I'm hyped.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. All right. Well, appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next one. There you have it. If you thought this video was helpful and you liked kind of the style, you'd like to hear from some of the clients that have actually gone through the program so far and hear from their success, the results, some of their lessons, takeaways, stuff like that, If you want to see more of these types of videos, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll be sure to get a bunch of other clients on board as well. And then that way you can hear from them and kind of just like hear some of the lessons that they've learned and some of the biggest factors of their success too. The wins channel is just absolutely insane right now. I only have like, I don't know, around 20, 22 clients, and we're getting 3, 4, 5 wins a day, every single day. Got a ton of clients to get on here. Yeah, let me know if this was helpful down below. Hit the like button if you want to see more. Make sure you hit subscribe too. And if you're actually serious about scaling your business and you want to get help as well, you want that mentorship and you want the blueprint to follow to actually go from an operator into an owner and scale your business with the right systems and people in place and run ads, just pour some gas in the fire, booking a call down below. Links in the description. Let's chat and we'll see pretty much just if you're a good fit for the program. If it is, then we'll get started working together. If it's not, then I'll kind of just point you in the right direction. So aside from that, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.